Alright guys, so I apologize. This video for AEW Dynamite November 27, 2019 is actually being reviewed a little bit too late. Explanation why is because after I watched AEW, I decided to take my dad and myself out for some drinks, pay for a debt on losing 38 to 7 from the 49ers Green Bay Packers game, which I thought the Packers were going to win that game, or at least be competitive in that game. They weren't anywhere near close to that. So I took my dad out for drinks and figured I'd just upload this video later. As you can tell, I'm a little bit tipsy, so don't mind me any. This review will be very interesting, seeing me that I'm a little bit drunk. Yeah. Anyway. I don't know if you guys could tell or not, but whatever the case may be. Anyway, this show, to me, was a little bit of a lighthearted show, with a little bit of, some things thrown here and there that were kind of interesting, kind of stupid and silly, especially Chris Jericho's opening segment. I wasn't a big fan of this segment whatsoever. Number one, you couldn't hardly hear what they had to say because the fucking damn microphone wasn't working properly. So, I mean, it made things a little bit more challenging to understand what they were saying, but there were some segments, some portions of the segment that was pretty good. Just to let you guys know, anyone that's interested in the NWA Power episode, I did watch that last night. It was nothing major, so I didn't feel the need to review it. It was just going over the last couple of weeks leading into this pay-per-view and some of the card that has developed and what they're planning on doing for the future matches. And that was pretty much that, so I didn't really feel the need to review that and waste a upload that really had nothing to do with actual in-ring wrestling and building storylines towards more matches on the card. So anyone that's interested in NWA Power, that was my reason for not uploading that video. After this video, I will definitely be watching the NXT episode that happened tonight and review that for you guys tomorrow so I can upload that for you. So yeah, I will be working on Thanksgiving, so to say. I don't actually get paid for doing this, but I do this because I love what I do and I love professional wrestling in general. So, just going over this, we kick things off with the AEW World Champion Chris Jericho's Thanksgiving thank you celebration kickoff to the show with Soul Train Jones, formerly known as Virgil. He's in the ring along with a portrait of the Inner Circle presence and some goofy mascots dancing outside the ring. Very weird shit. Sounds a little WWE-esque to me a little bit, and a more adult format version of it. On the ramp is a marching band as Jericho, with the title and a little bit of the bubbly, heads to the ring, and the crowd says thank you to Chris Jericho. So they're cheering for him, but he slowly stops that instantly. I can't believe that a heel character has to have the audience boo him. I never heard of a heel character asking the audience to boo him. This is the most silliest thing I've ever seen wrestling fans do. Have they ever heard of kayfabe? Has kayfabe just instantly died over the last 10 to 20 years? I mean, it's fucking sad that people can't just have imaginations and boo the characters that deserve to be booed. And they cheer for these characters that are heels. Maybe because it's more common that heels are hard to go ahead and do. They're made out to be very cheesy and just obstacles for the face to overcome and beat the shit out of. Maybe that's the reason why people cheer for the heels more often than boo them. Again, there's not been a lot of great built heels in the last 10 to 20 years. To be quite frank with you, in my personal opinion. But Jericho tells the crowd to shut up to those boos going, to get the boos going. He then tells the crowd to look under their chairs for a coupon to get 50 cents off on his t-shirt. Fucking weird. Jericho then shows off his little bit of the bubbly champagne bottle and actually has a website for it. Jericho and Virgil then try it out. Jericho then brings down Santana, Ortiz, and Sammy Guevara, who actually comes with gifts. Jericho rips on someone in the crowd as they make their way down to the ring. Sammy goes to talk and gets booed. He actually gets booed a lot. And I think it has a lot to do with the look on his fucking face. Something about that guy just tells me he's not up to any good. That's just my personal opinion. Sammy goes to talk, booed, and then Jericho tells him to shut up. Sammy thanks Jericho and then has a gift for Jericho. Sammy unveils that a cardboard cutout of Jericho and Sammy hugging. Now, people, I know this is AEW, this is not WWE. But let's get real with ourselves. Doesn't this seem a little like WWE type shit? Ass kissing, corporate storytelling bullshit. I didn't really like this segment very much. I'm sorry, I might be in the minority on this one. And if that's the case, that's fine with me. But me personally, I felt this was a bunch of horse crap and fucking garbage. And then they actually start hugging after he shows off the fucking cardboard cutting. What bullshit. I really thought a lot of this was bullshit. Then Santana and Ortiz come with some gifts, including something to help him avoid the flu, flip-flops, a little bit of the 40, the crowd chants 40, and then they put a Puerto Rican flag bandana on around his head. Jericho wonders where Jack Hager is, and Hager walks up from the back with an actual goat. Next, they could put the pentagram all over Chris Jericho's chest. Just being funny. Sorry. Usually a goat is implied to the satanic devil, or whatever you want to put it, but I'm just doing Illuminati gestures and jokes here, so whatever. Anyway, Jericho finally asks what the giant present is, and out comes Chris Jericho's father out of that wrapping. He's a former New York Ranger player. As anyone that knows Chris Jericho's backstory and his father and his family history, his father was an actual athlete in NHL for the New York Rangers. So his dad gets on the mic and says it's so great to be back in New York City. The crowd boos and Jericho lets him know that they're actually in Chicago, and Let's Go Blackhawks chant starts breaking out in the crowd. His dad says they beat them all the time and they were brutal. Fans start booing that and didn't respond well to it, which I thought that was funny. That was the one part of this segment I did enjoy. His dad says that the Blackhawks were and always will be wimps. He then gives out Rangers merch to the inner circle. Crowd with Rangers suck chant breaks out. Jericho then has an official statement from the higher-ups at AEW and TNT. Doesn't feel like reading though, and tells Justin Roberts to get in and read it. Crowd with a "you can't read" chant breaks out. Yeah, okay, he can't read. And you're a bunch of fucking morons for chanting that. Jericho says to Roberts, "What's your name, kid?" Acting as if he's a fucking nobody and hasn't been a ring announcer for God knows how long. Try about 10 years or so. Roberts then reads the thank you about all of Jericho's contributions to AEW, and Jericho says he thought it was a nice thank you, but didn't like Roberts' tone. Jericho then slaps Roberts, and the Inner Circle beats him up a bit. The marching band shows up, and it's actually SCU. They clear out the Inner Circle and then take out Soul Train Jones, formerly known as Virgil. So Justin Roberts is out. They use a new replacement for him. Her name's Dasha. Is stepping in to take over the ring announcing. We kick things off with the Best Friends versus the Lucha Brothers. Now this was actually surprising. This match wasn't bad. My issue was who won. And the Best Friends did win this match in a very big upset. I don't know where this puts them in the rankings, but the match was pretty decent. I give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars overall. Then we had Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander versus Bea Presley and Emma Sakura. The action was basically back and forth that leads out to the floor. Shida sets up a chair on the outside. Emma gets in the way and drinks some tea, pretending to drink tea, that is. Shida shoves her off and then hits a leaping knee to Emma. Beat gets back into it and drops Shida and sends her back into the ring. Emma and Bea working over Shida as we go to split screen break, pretty much at that point. Presley with a running boot to Shida's head, cover for 2. Emma tags in abdominal stretch while singing in the mic that she brought into the ring. Okay, kick to Shida's head. Bea tags in while the crowd gives Emma a Emma sucks chant, and Shida then with a enziguri, but Bea turns the fight with a released German suplex. Shida with a high knee, and finally brings Statlander into the ring. She scoops Emma, bridges under an attack kick to the head, and drops Bea off the apron. Clocks Emma and then does the Oklahoma roll for a 2 count. So this matchup overall, I won't go any further on this. It was pretty self-standard. Emma Sakura and Bea Presley are the winners of this match in a very surprising victory, but not so much since Statlander ends up being the one to eat the pinfall, so it doesn't hurt Shida in any way, shape, or form in her ranking, I believe. At least I hope not. Then we had a backstage segment with Jon Moxley. He says he's blazing a trail. I'm Nephilim Death. As he runs through the AEW roster, Moxley says he wonders if anyone is out there that wants to get to him before he gets them. Someone crazy. Moxley continues that he wonders if anyone wants to step up and be a hero. Go ahead and try it. Moxley says before heading off. And that was pretty much that. One thing I will say about Moxley's character in this company compared to what he was in WWE, he seems like he has a little bit more intensity involved. He seems a little bit more invested in the character that he's portraying. And he seems a little bit more realistic. He has that drive to want to succeed. The Dean Ambrose character he portrayed on WWE, the beginning stages of his career as Dean Ambrose, he was okay. I did feel a lot of what he had during the early stages of his career as Dean Ambrose with this Jon Moxley character. So I do see some shades of him, of his former self, as the beginning stages of Dean Ambrose. But as time went on, the character that Jon Moxley portrayed as Dean Ambrose wasn't all that full of energy, full of intensity. Just seems like he went through the motions and that was it. And there was nothing behind the character itself or any credibility to what he was trying to deliver with that character of Dean Ambrose. Here, I get that first beginning stages of Dean Ambrose when you first started meeting him and knowing Dean Ambrose and so forth. That's what we get here with Jon Moxley, except even a more intensified personality. The other thing is that he takes no shit from nobody, which is another good thing. To me, he reminds me of a modern-day version of Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I think he is the star and future of this company. The only one that could really rival with him as a heel outside of Jericho would be MJF. Maxwell Jacob Fredrickson. I feel that he is the next person in line after Jon Moxley wins the title from Chris Jericho, which later on in the show we actually see Jon Moxley at the end of the show kind of like teasing or hinting that we should expect this match to happen. So I'm actually looking forward to these two colliding heads at some point. I'm pretty certain it will happen at some pay-per-view of some sort. I hope they have a pay-per-view maybe in January or something like that, or in February. Just so that we don't have a long break in between the pay-per-view we just had with Full Gear and the next one after that. So, the next match from there, we had Cody versus Matt Nix. And Matt Nix and Cody was a very short-lived match. It ended in less than a minute. He delivers a figure four to make Nix tap out, and that was it. So, post-match, Cody gets on the mic and starts out with MJF. We don't have to wait. Let's do this right here. And up from underneath the ring comes the Blade, a.k.a. Braxton Sutter, and slash Pepper Parks, and the Butcher. Looks like a new tag team has debuted on AEW, which nobody was fucking understanding what the hell that was. Or I sure as hell didn't. I was completely confused on who this tag team was. I never even remember them pushing this team on their roster, so apparently they were brand new tonight. Allie actually joins the group and is now known as the Bunny. Oh, so that was who that was. That was Allie. Great, wonderful. Who gives a fuck? They beat the shit out of fucking Cody and that was it. Cody is looking like a bona fide, certified, beat-up toy. I appreciate a man that's unselfish and doesn't want to be so selfish to the fact that he gets everything he wants while everyone sucks dick. He wants to help provide, build towards the characters that are on television, but he should care about the character he's portraying so he stays relevant. To me, right now, he's slowly but surely becoming unrelevant. I don't know if that is his plan, or is that just by mistake that he's doing here. It all depends on him, but to me, he seems like he's losing his being relevant to this company. Like, he really has no reason to be on TV anymore. Like, maybe he should not even be here. Period. So, Pac and Kenny Omega have their rematch. This match was actually rather good. Probably the best match on the card for tonight. So, I was actually impressed with the action here. Kenny Omega does pick a very lucky victory. May I add that. Pac didn't look so bad in this match, despite the fact Kenny Omega winning the match. I will give the match a 4 out of 5 stars for a good, solid, good match that's on a regular television episode. So kudos to both of these guys for this matchup. Then the next match after that was MJF and Adam Page. MJF picks up a very fortunate victory for himself by cheating and getting the referee somewhat distracted in this match. And he ends up getting the victory at the end of the day and beats Adam Page. Now, the match wasn't the biggest thing on this whole entire situation. It was actually afterwards that entertained me to death. He goes ahead and he wins the AEW Dynamite ring, which DDP presents to him, which is nothing surprising to me because DDP has won a major ring during the WCW days when he was a wrestler for that company. So what better person to do that than him? So post-match, Diamond Dallas Page heads out to the ring to present the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring to MJF. He gets on the mic and says why he's there, and he then hands over the ring to MJF. MJF takes it and puts it on his finger and gives it a kiss. Page says some of MJF's actions have been very disappointing, but tonight he's the man, while slapping him on his shoulder. DDP says, while I'm the bigger man, I'll congratulate you like a man. DDP puts his hand out, and this is the best part. MJF puts his gum inside DDP's hand and closes his hand up. Now, in normal circumstances with a handshake, either a heel will go ahead and walk away, punch him in the face, kick him in the groin, or say something very rude and obnoxious. MJF doesn't do any of those things. He just puts gum in his hand and then closes his hand up as saying, here's a gift for you. Very creative way of doing things, a little bit out of the box for a heel character to do. It's not under the normal circumstances. They would actually use gum as a way of showing disrespect to somebody that's showing respect to them in the first place. So I actually did enjoy that little segment by MJF. So very solid job by them. I don't know if that was somebody higher up than who did this segment, or this was MJF's idea with DDP. If it was MJF's idea, kudos to you, dude. You are the fucking man, and you're only 23 years old. 23 fucking years old, and the guy is coming up with fucking awesome ideas. And if this is one of his ideas, kudos to him. So, DDP says, seriously? MJF responds, seriously. DDP gets in MJF's face, and Wardlow then gets in DDP's face. DDP says he better get out of his face, and a mini brawl breaks out. But security and referees get involved before too much goes down. So then at that point in the ring, Dustin Rhodes comes out with talks with Jennifer Decker. Members of the Inner Circle get in the ring and eventually take down Dustin from the back from Matt Jackson, hitting a double clothesline. Nick then comes out. They hit double super kicks. Sammy clocks Matt, hits Dustin, and then hits a triple super kick. Santana, Ortiz, and Sammy each get a curtain call kick between the legs maneuver. If you're not familiar with Dustin Rhodes' maneuvers, there you go. And we see the we see a random guy. Then we go to another segment where we see a random guy from last week. They continue the story where he is on the subway train. He's watching this video about the Dark Order and their flyer and interesting, advertising to people. If they're an outsider, they feel left out. This is a place to go where you can feel accepted and wanted as part of a group, and so on and so forth. And then they continue with this character from last week into the new week, where he goes to their camping grounds, I guess you could say. So we see that same random guy from last week look at a Dark Order flyer, taking a phone number from it, and cut a group meeting with the Dark Order, talking to a group of people about reaching their full potential in life. Evil Uno says, "We are everything. We are one. Are you ready to pledge to the Dark Order?" This whole gimmick, to me, is like the Wyatt family in bits and pieces of some of the elements that they did with that gimmick. This faction is more along the lines trying to take losers and making them feel part of something. Well, not losers, but quote-unquote losers that are considered losers by society are given the opportunity to join this so-called Dark Order cult and have them be part of this group so that they feel part of something instead of being outcasts. And that's pretty much what I'm getting from this whole gimmick and week after week videos that we're getting for this random character that they're following through from a subway to a actual group meeting for the Dark Order with that flyer. And that was pretty much that. So not much to that segment, so we'll probably get another one next week. Now we go to the main event, and I'll be done with this review. Show was not all that great. I will say that it was pretty decent. It wasn't the most spectacular AEW Dynamite episode I've seen since their inception, but it wasn't too shabby. I'm hoping that NXT was better than this, because the AEW roster did not seem like they were fully invested with this episode. I guess because Thanksgiving is tomorrow, so I guess they were just taking it light with this episode and kind of just giving the audience something to talk about, but at the same time taking it easy so they're not taking a serious risk of injury and probably thinking that there's not a lot of people going to be tuning into this episode since it's Thanksgiving Eve before actual Thanksgiving. So the matchup starts off with Jericho. I'm just really tired. It's been a long fucking day. 8 hours of work, watching wrestling, and then fucking going ahead and having some alcohol and eating food, and I'm just starting to get tired. So I apologize about the yawning if I'm seem like I'm unprofessional here or something. So I do apologize. But Jericho able to drop Sky and does some very early taunting. Crowd with a stupid idiot chant to Jericho. Jericho with a headlock. And who's an idiot now? Jericho with a couple shoulder tackles. But Sky hits a drop kick, then clotheslines Jericho out of the ring. Sky to the floor. Hits another boot to the face. Back in the ring. Sky with a sunset flip too. For a 2 count. Back and forth the action would go. Sky ends up on the apron. Jericho with a drop kick that sends Sky to the floor. Let's see. What else do we have happen here? Sky hits a cutter on Jericho, chops to the chest, but Jericho is able to lock in the Lion Tamer. Sky is able to make his way to the bottom rope through for the break, and Aubrey Edwards has a physically stop Jericho, who then gets in her face. Sky with a cutter and goes into a dragon sleeper. Jake Hager runs down and jumps on the apron. Sky knocks him down, and then Jericho with a full roll-up for a 2 count. Double clothesline by both wrestlers. Now Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels goes after Hager and force him backstage. Edwards is distracted, and Jericho grabs the title, swings, misses, and Sky with a TKO cover for a 2 count. This was actually very surprising. I actually thought maybe Scorpio Sky had a chance, but I didn't really think that was going to happen. But for a small moment, I thought maybe they were going to surprise the audience with a surprise victory, which would have been kind of cool. Sky thought that was it, and let me see. Sky with some punches. Charges in, eats a boot. Jericho up to the second ropes, but Sky with a standing Hurricanrana cover for a 2 count. Sky leaps off the second rope and takes a code breaker pin for a 2 count, and then Jericho tries the Judas effect. Wasn't unable to hit it. Rolls up for a 2, and Jericho able to lock in the Lion Tamer in the middle of the ring, and Sky taps out instantaneously. And that was basically that. So, this matchup, I will give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was an okay match. MJF and Adam Page, that was definitely a 3.5 out of 5 stars as well. A lot of 3.5s, only 1 4 out of 5 stars, and that's Kenny Omega and Pac. The rest of the card was pretty average and okay show. The only complaint I really have about the show was the ending result of the Best Friends beating the Lucha Brothers in that matchup. I think that the Best Friends should have faced another team that's a little bit more down to where they are in rankings. Lucha Brothers are actually ranked really high in the tag team division. With that loss, that drops them probably a spot or 2, which I don't particularly think is very fair, number 1. And number 2, it makes absolutely no sense that tag team can go ahead and beat them, and are probably the worst tag team right now in their division, beating a top-notch ranked tag team like the Lucha Brothers. So I was a little bit upset with that. That's about the only thing that stood out to me to be a little bit controversial in the decision-making of the results of that match. They should have went with a smaller tag team at that point that's a little bit further down in rankings, in my opinion. To close out the show, after Jericho wins and retains the title, he has Jon Moxley standing out in the crowd, kind of looking like he's trying to intimidate Jericho. Jericho is a bit surprised to see Jon Moxley in the crowd, kind of looking down at him and like giving him a dead stare in the fucking face. Crowd's going crazy over it, and it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to this matchup. I think Jon Moxley versus Chris Jericho is a perfect matchup, especially for the World Championship to be on the line, and Jon Moxley to defeat him for that title and become the new AEW World Heavyweight Champion. I think it's a great opportunity for him to have a nice, long, stretched out run. I think until he faces Kenny Omega in a actual sanctioned match that is a legit wrestling match. Because I know for a fact Jon Moxley has the capability of also having a decent wrestling match with anybody in the wrestling business. This guy has proven in WWE he can wrestle. Now, is he the greatest wrestler in the world? Of course not. He's not. But he's a decent, okay wrestler that can put on a good show without having to use barbed wire, thumbtacks, glass, and other dangerous, hardcore wrestling type style matches. So, anyone that tells me, or anyone tells you for that matter, that Jon Moxley can't wrestle for shit, he's only a hardcore specialist, you're absolutely fucking crazy. Now, granted, he is a specialist in hardcore wrestling, but he also has the capability of putting on a decent match in a regular style wrestling match. If you don't believe me, you can go back to his early history in WWE. He gives a good style matchup with Seth Rollins in many different situations. Their matchup at fucking Hell in a Cell was fantastic. He actually wrestled. He was hardcore as well. Everything in that matchup was solid, okay wrestling. So the man can put on a decent show. So there's no reason in the world that he can't have a straight up regular wrestling match. He had another wrestling match with Darby Allin last week that was superb. And I praised it. I thought it was an excellent matchup, and it wasn't a hardcore style matchup. So anyone that says that Jon Moxley can't wrestle is fucking crazy. Now, like I said, he's not the greatest wrestler in the world, but he can provide a decent match. So anyway, that's all I really have to say at this time. Leave your comments and opinions down below. I'll get back to you on that as always. Please don't hesitate. If you got anything you want to say about the video, about anything I had to say, any ideas that I came up with that you don't agree with, please tell me. I love to hear them. I like to, debate, share back and forth, and talk about things. I'll definitely get back to you on that. As well, if you like the video, hit the like button. It's definitely appreciated. And hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel. And I thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great night, guys. Bye.